As we enter a brand new era at Blackburn Rovers, of course, we are saying goodbye to some familiar faces. Tony Mowbray is already gone. Darrell Lennon has already announced that he will leave. And of course, also joining them will be Joe bloody Rothwell. Are we better off with or without him? We're going to take a little look next. Let's give another video. Today we're taking a look at, of course, Joe Rothwell's impending departure from Ewood Park. And we'll get to that in just 1 second. If you know where you've been, smash your subscribe to keep banging today. All things Rovers related, Championship related, world football related. We're going to all here, boys, under one rooski. That's right, of course, the start of a brand new era has already seen Tony Mowbray pack his bags. And of course, Mark Venus, of course, joining him out in the doldrums. Of course, also joining him will be Darrell Lennon. He's also packing his bags. Looks like he's on his way to Middlesbrough. But one player, of course, who's been biding his time, been chomping at the bit a little bit to leave Ewood Park is Joe Rothwell. And it looks like he's got his wish. And, of course, that wish is Premier League football. We'll talk about that in a minute. Of course, big shout out to my VIPs, the patrons, guys. You know who you are. But anyway, let's get into it, of course, and take a little look at what we're talking about. That's right, of course. Where are we? Whoop-woo. There we are, down here. Here I am. Here's the fella, of course, so let's take a look at what we're talking about. Yes, Joe Rothwell is about to leave Blackburn Rovers. Of course, he's already signalled his departure over on Instagram. I'll show you that post in a second. But, of course, what we're going to be losing is this. That's right. Of course, worldwide, he ranks 2,298th player in the world. According to some stats here, he ranks 78th in the Championship last season. Top 3 in Blackburn Rovers, of course, this past campaign. 173rd in England. The 306th best midfielder in the world, and of course the 196th best player who was born in 1995. That's right, so that's Joe Rothwell. A bit of a tail of the tape for him from this season. Let's take a look at some of the numbers, of course, we are going to say goodbye to this season. He's a handsome looking chap, and of course he has been chomping at the bit since January. He rattled his cage a little bit in January, kicked his toys out the pram, and of course declared a move when we were flying high in second spot, I believe, in the Championship. He wanted to move on there and then, which right now looks like a bit of a kick in the balls, because we should and probably should have accepted that, because what resulted was a decline in form for Rovers, a decline in form from Joe Rothwell, and of course we were no better off financially. But anyway, this is of course the stats for Joe Rothwell. Let's take a little look at him for this season. He played 41 times this season in all competitions and all venues around the grounds. He started 36 of them, 77 minutes per game on average. He made the team of the week just 4 times. And that is one consistency that we will, or one statistic or one factor of his game that will be a likely reprieve from Rovers fans is the fact he's hit and miss. And he has been more miss than hit. But of course, on his day, Joe Rothwell is unplayable, uncatchable, a unique kind of player, which I've not seen in either or any Championship side. Of course, he's a unique sort of player, unique talent. But of course, if that talent doesn't fancy it, then guess what? He's not going to be there, and his presence in the squad is actually probably making Rovers look worse. So yes, if whoever, and it looks like Bournemouth are going to get this guy's signature. If Bournemouth can make those fleeting appearances more frequent than not, then yes, you've got yourself a bit of a bargain. Well, you've definitely got a bargain, because it's coming at you for free. That's right. So a good bit of business for Bournemouth, perhaps. And of course, Rovers, yes, it does look like it's going to be a kick in the balls. Or is it? But anyway, like I said, 4 teams of the week this season, just got 3 goals this season. And again, from his, when you look at him as a player, and I've watched him for the past 4 seasons, he is a player that can create so much. And again, on his day, can score worldy goals, whether it's a long-range shot or a bit of trickery in the box. Yes, he's got those things in his locker, but scoring just the 3 times this season, I actually, when I looked at those numbers, the amount of times he's played, the amount of games he's started, I should be seeing a lot more than that. Yes, when we go down to the passing stats here, you'll see his assists is where it's at this season. He's been very, very creative, creating 10 assists this season, 47.1 touches on average per game, key passes 1.7 per match as well, and his numbers are great for a player of his caliber. calibre, and again, from the Championship. He will go to the Premier League, he will go to Bournemouth, and he will do very, very well for himself. Here's some other stats for you. 8 yellows, of course, no reds this season. He was fouled 0.4 times per match, lost possession 11 times this season. Possession 0.3 times per game, I guess, on average. Interceptions 1.1 as well. So take from what you will from the stats. That's this season. Let's take a look at, of course, a heat map for Joe Rothwell. He is, of course, a key figure in the central midfield. I've seen some people quote him as a defensive midfielder. That is not correct. He's more of definitely a box-to-box kind of guy. And he can create a whole host of chances. And that amazing run, that when he gets his head down, thumbs in, whatever you want to call it, let him loose, and he can his ball to eye ratio or coordination, whatever you want to call it, is immense. So well done. Can he do that stuff in the Premier League when he's up against the A-grade players of world football? I don't know. However, if he's going to do it, he's going to do it now as well. And you never know. This could be an absolute masterstroke by Bournemouth, but for me, I think it's going to be a bridge too far. And I feel in regards to quality, I think he is a top Championship level player. I thought the rumours with Joe Rothwell going to Scotland and Rangers would have been ideal for him. I think he could blow the Scottish Premiership the teams away with his trickery skills. But I just think he's going to be a bit part player for Bournemouth. It is in the Premier League. He's going to get his chance in the Premier League. But to be honest with you, with Bournemouth, who are going to struggle, he's not going to get a chance to really showcase his talents in the grand scheme of things. But there is on the screen there his sort of heat map on average for the season, preferring the left-hand side to the right, you would say. And again, very, very key in the middle of midfield. What else have I got for you here? So here's some of the tail of the tape. He's at 185 centimetres tall. He wears the shirt number 8. He was player value of around about 1.9 million euros. That's probably a little bit wrong. As you can see, his strengths here and some of his positions that he plays. He has played on the left-hand side of an attacking trio as well, left-hand side of midfield as well. And again, some people have put him in a defensive midfield slot, but or labelled him in as that. But for me, he's never been the guy who's done the donkey work, the hard work, the tackling. He's there to pick up the pieces and create the chances for him. And as you can see from his stats and his attributes over here, middle of the road, average. You know, if you were to compare that to a player a regular player or a custom player in the Premier League in a similar role, again, he's going to be punching above his weight, I would say. I think definitely a Premier League player of his sort of style, you know, is going to be. Yeah, I think Joe Rothwell's going to struggle to maintain the impressive displays he has done at Ewood in the Premier League. You know, even if we were to get promoted, would we? You know, and he would have remained at Rovers, I still think he would have struggled. And again, he's good. He's good at Championship level. I just think he's not going to get the opportunities to shine in the Premier League with a team such as Bournemouth, who are going to be struggling more often than winning. Moving forward, let's take a look at his value then. His value has soared over the years. Of course, he was originally in the books at Blackpool, it looks like here. He did get into the Manchester United Academy before being released and picked up by Oxford United. So Blackburn Rovers did pick him up on a freebie. I believe it was a free transfer, and again, his value soared to around about £1 million anyway. Of course, he's been with us for a few seasons, had a bit of dip in form. Of course, wasn't really. It was a bit of. We'll see in the stats in a minute. He wasn't a regular game face for the initial his initial arrival, and again, there's always been competition for places. He did seem to nail down a spot this season, of course, alongside Travis and Buckley. They were the midfield three when we were on a good bit of run. But if you were to start the season from scratch last season and Dak was fit, I think Rothwell would have struggled to find his way into the squad. So to be honest with you, yes, he's got an ability about him and something special. But are we going to be left mulling over this one? Is it a bigger loss losing Joe Rothwell than it is Darrell Lennon? I don't think so. I think, yes, it sucks, it hurts when, of course, a player leaves for free, but that seems to be the way of the world these days. A lot of players are leaving for free. We've just got to make sure that we we bounce back and try to replace these players, these key players, with experience and knowledge from elsewhere. But anyway, of course, his value was kind of steady Eddie, around about 1.5 million for a little bit before soaring, I guess, in this good season for him. So he's kind of, his stock is on the climb. He ain't no spring chicken as well, so he needed to make a move, and fair play to him, he's made the move. Now, what else do we have? This are his stats here. Of course, like I said, he was at Blackpool way back when, just a couple of games there, then at Barnsley for a little bit. Oxford, of course, where he kind of got some spotlight. Rovers were in that division as well, League One in 2017, 2018. That's when Mowbray caught a glimpse of him and said, you know what, he's got a bit about him. Of course, so then we snapped him up on a freebie. He came to Blackburn Rovers, and again, 30-odd, 40-odd games, but not really ripping it up in regards to goals. Of course, I don't have the stats here for the assists, but he's really, I guess he's more of a creator than a finisher. But you know what? He is a unique player. He is a talent, and it is something that we're going to miss big time at Ewood Park, purely because he's a unique individual, and these players, or the player like his, or that has his skills and attributes, don't come around like Christmas. They're not there every year. So yeah, it's a major blow, but of course we can bounce back. Meanwhile, that's just a little bit of take on what I think about the result in this. Of course, with Joe Rothwell pending move to Bournemouth. What about the Rovers' Mafioso? What do they think about Joe Rothwell and, of course, this impending move to Bournemouth?
So, Joe Rothwell is leaving Blackburn Rovers. We've known this for a long time, and I think he's going to Bournemouth. I guess every Rovers fan wishes him all the best from the bottom of our hearts. Timing's everything, Joe. He's been a good player for Blackburn Rovers. He's been a really good player. He could have done more in terms of goals and assists. Can he reach the next level? Has he got Premier League quality in him? He hasn't delivered enough for me. He needs to deliver the goals, the assists. He needs to be getting double figures in both, really. And he hasn't done that at Championship level. So, yeah, he's got quality. There's no denying he's got quality about him. But he hasn't delivered even as much as Dak. When Dak's been fit, he's delivered a lot more than Joe Rothwell has. But he's got that moment of quality. He's got that. He's got real quality on the ball. He just needs more goals and assists, and maybe he'll start doing that at another club. If it's Bournemouth, I think it's going to be Bournemouth. But yep, he just needs to keep doing what he's doing with more end product. Yeah.
So, Joe Rothwell has obviously confirmed a couple of weeks ago now, if not maybe a bit longer, that he's definitely not staying at Blackburn Rovers. He's not renewing his contract. And from all accounts, it looks like he's going to wind up at the club that came in for him in January for 3 million, and we decided not to sell, which is Bournemouth. Obviously a Premier League side now. And it looks like they're building a very deep squad if they were to get someone like Joe Rothwell in. My thoughts on this, I mean, Joe was definitely one of our better players, especially in that first half of the season. He offers that unique ability to drive at a defence with the ball, which got us a lot of points, to be fair. You can't deny that. He's got an ability that is something you can't really teach. I think you either just have it or you don't. The other players at the club don't really have that, to be honest, within that midfield. You can maybe look at someone like a Tyrese Dolan, who can obviously take people on. But from that deep line midfield position, picking up the ball and just driving us up the pitch, taking players on, running at them, which is a defender's nightmare, to be honest. I think about the one in particular that springs out to me was Huddersfield away last season. He picked the ball up so deep. We were really struggling in that game just to kind of get a grip. Picks the ball up, drives it into the box, and then just squares it for Diaz. It's an easy tap-in. Single-handedly created that goal by himself in a game where, we were struggling for ideas, really. So he will be missed. I don't think anyone can deny that. His ability will be missed anyway. I'm not sure about the man himself. I think people have varying opinions on him as a person. But his ability will sorely be missed. He's obviously a first teamer for this club and would have been if he'd have signed. In terms of the whole fiasco with the January window, I do genuinely think it was a bit coy from Bournemouth. I think they may have maliciously put that offer in, trying to stir things up in the camp. Maybe knowing that obviously Rothwell, 6 months left on his contract, a big 3 million offer comes in. And I think obviously even at that point it was pretty clear that Rothwell weren't going to be staying. And whether that unsettled the camp, and destabilised our season or helped to destabilise it anyway, I guess we'll never know. But, it definitely caused problems. I think that's for all to see. I mean, after that January window, we didn't really get the same Joe Rothwell again, and we didn't really get the same Blackburn Rovers again, to be honest. I can't blame him for moving on. I mean, to be honest, he probably has outgrown us at this point, but all I would say is, this season just gone is the first time since he signed for Rovers he's looked too good for us, and he's been a very consistent, 7 or 8 pretty much for, well, especially in that first half of the season. He was a 7-8 pretty much every game, really. There weren't that many games where he got missing, which was the main problem with Joe Rothwell when we first signed him. He was so inconsistent. You'd see those moments of brilliance, but then other games you wouldn't know he was on the pitch. Put a lot of that down to the fact he's playing on the wing, probably, where he didn't really want to be played in that 4-2-3-1 we used to play. So you can maybe put some of it down to that. But I mean, I think the season during lockdown, he came into his own somewhat, but it still weren't the finished product. He was definitely better within that midfield. He's very much a midfielder. I think that's for all to see, and even surprisingly, someone who can play a bit deeper in that double pivot and be more of the ball player and the person who picks the ball up, drives us forward, and he isn't afraid to stick a challenge in or, foul a player if needs be. So no, I think, I do wish him all the best. He could have gone away around his transfer a lot better than, he did do, in terms of obviously running his contract down and everything. It hasn't made him look the best, to be honest. But you can't blame players for wanting to move on when they clearly have outgrown the club at this point. And obviously he weren't in favour a lot of the time he were at Blackburn Rovers. He's given us a good few seasons. So I do wish him the best. Do I think he's ready for the Premier League? I'm not sure. I mean, that ability to run at players is something that, he could definitely replicate in the Premier League, I feel. It's not something you can easily defend against. But, the other parts of his game, his goal contributions, his assists aren't really up there. So if you're just relying on Joe Rothwell to have that moment of brilliance, which, he could single-handedly win Bournemouth games if, it was a case of he came up with one moment of brilliance in a game where he drove at the defence and ended up scoring or put it on a plate for someone. He can offer that. But if he's not allowed that, freedom or the space to run into or the room in behind to run into with the ball and really drive at players, he can be neutralised quite easily, because that is by far and away his strength. Like I said, he's not a particularly good passer of the ball. He's not a particularly good shooter of the ball at all. His numbers speak volumes, but in terms of obviously that driving ability, that is second to none. So for someone who could maybe Bournemouth bring on, trying to look to impact again that last 20-30 minutes, run at tired legs at the back line, that would be a defender's nightmare. I can't see him starting for Bournemouth if I'm being honest. I can see him being an impact player though. He definitely is someone who I could see impacting a game off the bench. And wish him the best of luck with that.
So as it seems now that Joe Rothwell's on his way out, obviously these videos are to say what we think about him and what we think about his departure and whatever else. So obviously I have seen him score some absolutely banging goals, but I've seen him be a proper lazy player, just like he couldn't be arsed playing at Rovers anymore. So in terms of that, I think I need to say that to his new team, I don't know obviously if he'd be playing all the time for you because he stopped playing all the time for us. To his new team, I hope that he puts 100% in for you, because he didn't do that for us really, not all the time anyway. When we first got him, he put 100% in, everyone loved him, and he was one of our best players, but obviously that was League One. And then when we came up to Championship, the first season he were really good, and then he just went downhill from there. So obviously nobody knows who he's going to yet, because it's not been confirmed, but I just hope that they make use out of a player like him, to be fair.
So, of course, to confirm that bit of news, the news that Joe Rothwell is on the verge of joining Bournemouth, I am backing off or backing that story off of this one. It's a tweet from a Transfer News Live, which has a good following of 1.2 million followers, so well a trusted source. But their actual reference for the information is actually Sky Sports News. They did a piece on it earlier. There are some comments in there, people asking, is he good enough for the Premier League? Well, the jury is out. Yeah, and again, if you're not bloody from the Championship, or you don't know Championship football, you're going to be like this. Who the fuck is this guy? And when I did do a scroll for news on this, a lot of people, like they're stumped. They're like, who is Joe Rothwell? And that's fine. That's the way Blackburn Rovers are these days. The players that we have are coming up through, or we picked them up from lower league football, and we pick up these gems that don't really have a reputation outside of the Championship or outside, or definitely in the Premier League. So credit to Joe for getting the move for himself. Anyway, Joe himself did actually announce it on his Twitter, on his Insta feed here. A lot of his ex-professional former players giving us some good comments there. He will be up against David Raya in the Premier League next season. Of course, David Raya with Brentford. He also may face Adam Armstrong, who's over at Southampton these days. Big bad boy Brereton Diaz could also join him as well. So, you know what? Yeah, fair play to him. Am I gutted? Am I bitter? I am a little bit bitter, but I will go on to my little bitterness in a minute. So anyway, so it is a bit of a shitter. However, when every one well closes, another well opens. That's what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about this. So yes, even though Joe Rothwell is on his way out to Bournemouth, it looks like we could actually be bringing in this fella. Todd Cantwell, that's right. Of course, once called up to the English international full setup, I think. He didn't get a cap, but he was that good for Norwich in his early days. And of course, under the Daniel Farke era, Todd Cantwell was a game-changing player, a youngster for the Canaries. Of course, was loaned to Bournemouth last season, didn't really get a sniff because they bought the fucking league, didn't they? They bought the fucking league. But anyway, if Rothwell was to go and Todd Cantwell was to come in, then I think we've bloody upgraded our Wells. I think this is definitely a better player in all aspects, in all attributes of the game. He is again different kind of caliber player than Joe Rothwell. Joe Rothwell has that dynamic running ability which I've never seen before, and it is very rare and unique and amazing, and I'll give him that. But you take that out of his game, you know what? He's just a bog standard sort of box to box midfielder. But this guy, man, bun and all, is a quality little player. He's gone on rough times a little bit. He needs a chance. He needs a season somewhere to showcase what he's all about, because he was up there. He peaked. He's kind of gone off the boil a little bit, and he needs somewhere in a fight. I think his final season at Norwich, so a good chance for him to reset the blocks if he was to get this move. It's not done and dusted. It's nowhere near. There's no bids, but the rumours are out there. John Dale Thompson has been linked with making his first signing, and he's going to try, with the help of Greg Broughton, of course, is the director of football there, and his connections at Norwich, to bring in Todd Cantwell. Can he do it? We'll have to wait and see. But goodness gracious me, yes, it sucks losing Darrell Lennon, losing Joe Rothwell, and of course losing probably Diaz in the future, maybe even Nyambe as well. 4 key players, but of course Joe Rothwell, on his day, phenomenal. I'll give him that. He has got that ability. Am I gutted about it? Not as much as losing Darrell Lennon, a guy who we brought through the academy. We've seen him grow and mature into a leader, a captain. You know what let me down here? Of course, if we were to have sold, if we knew, we covered this in the podcast quite recently. If we knew back in January when the offer was on the table for Joe Rothwell, what our season was going to be like at the end of it, we should have took the offer way back when and took the money and run. But we didn't. We decided to stick with it. Mowbray gave him a chance to make amends. He didn't really step up though, did he, Joe Rothwell? So or we didn't step up anyway, and Rovers kind of crashed and burned, to be honest with you. So it kind of fell sour a little bit. So I think there is no turning back for Joe Rothwell. You know what? Even if he was to sign a new deal, I think there's going to be a side of the Blackburn Rovers fan base that's always going to be a little bit bitter towards the way he handled himself. And that happens. That happens at clubs as well. And again, he's, you know, if Darrell Lennon had done the same thing, we would have been a bit more gracious about it, because he's an academy player, come through the ranks and stuff like that. Joe Rothwell has kind of he just handled things a little bit unprofessionally. Towards the end, you know, demanding it on deadline day to a rival, it was a bad bit of stuff in the end for him and for us. But anyway, he's got his move down south. It'll be warmer. Yes, you're in the Premier League. Yes, you're making a bit of money as well. So well done, Joe, for you. Well done for your service as well. 4 years, of course, and yeah, good. Hopefully, you're not going to regret it, of course, because the grass is not always greener. Check Adam Armstrong out, for example. Stuck into Southampton's bench. Can't get a game. But hey, you never know. You never know. Anyway, until then, though, that is all I've got for you about Joe Rothwell. Thanks for your service. See you later, Alligator. And, of course, I'll see you guys later. Luna's pissed, though. She's angry. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. See you later. Until then, boys, see you soon for more Rovers content. Make sure you smash your subscribe, smash the thumbs up, smash the little bell. Until then, boys, we're done right now.